Hey guys, I thought since it was PCOS Awareness Month that I would, talk to you guys about that and my personal PCOS story. So I was actually just officially diagnosed a couple weeks ago. So this is a new story for me, but it's been ongoing for a long time. So when I went to college, I started having some issues, really irregular periods, but like they were really long, and I was just having too many, and I had never had that problem in high school. I had never had like any issues like that. I didn't even have acne really in high school. So then I went to college and I started getting acne, and I was like having my period all the time, and it was weird. But I was like, I'm at a different place, I'm eating different food, I'm not exercising as much, things just are different. So I just let it go and pushed it off for over a year. And then finally I said something to my doctor. I was like, this is happening, I don't know what to do, what am I doing wrong? And she was like, well, cheapest option is just go on the pill. It's fine, we'll put you on the pill. If you still have problems, then we'll have an issue, but let's just do this, whatever. It was free. So I actually took it for almost 4 years. So during that time, my acne was really bad. I started getting really bad headaches. I gained a decent amount of weight, but a lot of that I just attributed to being in college and being a college student and like stuff going on. So, whatever. But at some point, my migraines were so bad. I had not had migraines like this since 7th grade. I mean, at all. But it was like I had started working and I was finishing up my last class, and there were days that I could not stay at work because I couldn't deal with my migraine. Like Tylenol, ibuprofen, caffeine, water. It didn't matter what I did, it didn't help. Of course I called the doctor, and she's like, well, hang in there a little longer, keep track of everything, tell me how often you're having migraine days, and we'll go from there. Well, about 4 months later, I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, it's 2 or 3 times a week. It's, I can't live like this. And she was like, okay, well, I'll write you a prescription for that. So she wrote me a prescription to take for migraines, and it was super cheap. I took it, I was doing it, whatever, and it worked for a while, and then stopped working. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm tired all the time. I was sleeping like 12 hours a night, and I was still exhausted. It just made me so tired. And when I first filled the prescription, the pharmacist was like, when you first take this, do not take it until you're ready to go to bed. But you're going to want to go to bed a little earlier than you normally do, but you should get used to it. So I was like, okay. I would like take it at like 8:30, and I would go to bed at 9. I mean, I would be asleep. And I would sleep all night, and I would be totally fine, but I would be exhausted the next day. So things went on like that for several months. I was taking this stuff, I wasn't feeling very good, and that was when I first ordered my Young Living starter kit. I was having really bad cramps too, and I had never had cramps before, so I was like, something weird is going on. One of my friends gave me some Lang Lang, and she was like, this is supposed to help with cramps, like, just try it, even if it tricks your brain into feeling a little better. Just try it, even if it elevates your mood a little bit. Just try it, see how you feel, whatever. So I was like, okay, I gotta get me some of this stuff. So I ordered the starter kit, and I was like reading up on all of it and like the side effects of my medicine, and I was like, this isn't working. So I called the doctor, I got off all of it, and I was like, I just can't take this stuff. I don't feel very good. I'm still having migraines. I'm tired all the time. I barely can make it through work. I just don't want on these synthetic hormones. I don't want to take this headache stuff. And she was like, okay, cool. See how you feel without any of it. So I switched from synthetic hormones to Progessence Plus serum from Young Living, and I was using it every day. Things were pretty good for about a year, and then things started getting weird again. I wasn't having a period. They were all pretty light. Like, I don't know what to do. This is frustrating. So I'm reading everything. And I'm like, okay, what oils you're supposed to use at different parts of the month. All this stuff, like cycling, things to do, things to ramp up, things to back off. Like, when you do it, like clary sage and lady sclereol and sclerescence and pro plus and endoflex and all this stuff. I'm talking to people, what worked for you, what didn't, and then, nothing was working. What worked for a while, and then it didn't work. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. My doctor knows I'm using these oils, so, like, I'm just going to go to her again and be like, okay, I don't know. So my doctor ordered all these blood tests, all this blood work, and that was horrible. And this horrible bruise, it was awful. But anyways, had all this blood work, and things were a little wonky as far as my hormone levels. So she was like, things look okay. And I was like, I looked at them, and that says high, and that says high, and that says high. So things are not okay. And she was like, I'm just going to send you a referral. So went to see another doctor. She looked at me, and she listened to what I said about having these issues and headaches and all that, and being just put on the pill. And she was like, they didn't do any tests that first time, like you were in college. And I was like, no, like, nobody did any tests. They just put me on the pill, and that was the end of it. And, it kind of solved the problem for a while. So that was the end of it. And she was like, okay, you use essential oils. Like, we do need to be careful about what you're using and making sure there's no interactions. And she said, but I want to put you back on the pill. And I was like, oh no. And she was like, but first, I want you to tell me what your migraines are like. So she asked me a lot of questions. She asked me, like, about my family health history, about, like, cramping and headache. She asked me all these questions, and she was like, this probably sounds really weird, but, like, these questions are here for a reason. So then she was like, okay, you have skinny girl PCOS. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, I don't know. And she said, okay, when you go home, you can Google PCOS. It's what you have. It's why your hormone levels are funny. It's why you have irregular periods. But when you Google it, you're going to see a lot of women who are more in the overweight category, and it's going to say lose weight. Losing weight is going to help you alleviate a lot of your symptoms. And she said, but you're already fairly thin. Losing weight's not going to help you. Exercising some helps, but as far as losing weight, that's not really what's going to work with you. So then she explained to me, like, all of what PCOS is, and she drew me these pictures, and it was wonderful. And she was like, okay, so your ovaries are confused. In a normal ovary, your brain is sending your signals at different parts of your cycle, and your eggs are growing and forming and developing at different rates. So if you look at a regular ovary, you have some, like, fully formed eggs that are ready to ovulate. You have some that are a little bit smaller, you have some that are a little bit smaller, and then you have all these little tiny ones. And so your body is saying, you're going to ovulate. So it gets that one egg ready to ovulate, and then it ovulates, and then the next one that's been growing's the wrong word, developing, gets ready for the next month, and it ovulates. But so in a polycystic ovary, you have a whole bunch that are getting a little bit of that hormone, a little bit of those signals. So you have a bunch that are at the same stage of development, and they're all trying to get ready to ovulate. And typically, none of them will. One or two of them might, but typically in a typical month, they won't ovulate, so you don't have your period. And your endometrial lining is building up and building up and building up. And then when you have your period, it's because that endometrial lining is losing its blood supply and it's dying. And so you'll have 3 or 4 periods in a row over 2 months, and that's kind of, she's like, that is totally what you're describing to me, is you don't have a period for an extended period of time because you're not ovulating, your body's not getting the right amount of hormones, it's confused, and then it's just happening and happening and happening, and you're like, ah. and you feel like a crazy person, and you're not. It's just your body is confused. And so, we really talked about my essential oil use and like what is safe and what is not safe. And then she said, okay, I'm gonna put you on this pill. It's totally different from what you were taking before. She said, what you were taking is not good for people with migraines. And she said, your doctor probably didn't know that because it's not like her specialty, but it's really bad for people with migraines, and like the worst thing she could have put you on. And I was like, oh, great. So this that she put me on is supposed to help with acne. It's supposed to help with headaches, along with all the period stuff. So typically what I've been reading online, which is everything, it takes 3 years, 3 to 4 years, maybe up to 5 years, and 2 to 3 doctors for a woman to get a PCOS diagnosis. And so for me, it took 6 years and 2 doctors. So my case is not abnormal. This is fairly normal for it to take multiple doctors and several years to get a diagnosis. But I think if you will talk to people 1 in 10 women has a form of PCOS. You do not have to have cysts to have PCOS. So you have to have 2 of 3 things. So one of those things would be cysts, and you'll know if you have them. Irregular periods, and then elevated like androgen hormone levels, so like male hormones a lot of times. So it causes acne, it causes excess facial hair, stuff like that. Weird stuff to happen. So she was like, yeah, you don't have cysts, but you have all this other stuff going on, and you totally fit the bill. Like, even women who are thin oftentimes don't get this diagnosis until later because, like when they're trying to have children, because they don't fit the overweight part. But being overweight and being insulin resistant is not, everyone's case in PCOS, and they don't really know what causes it. There is a genetic factor. It's just a thing that happens. But like they don't really know why. And, it's not impossible to have children when you have PCOS. Most women with PCOS don't have a issue. They have medicine for that and stuff. Fertility treatments are way all over the place now. There's so many things you can try. So it's not like that even is going to be an issue. But so for now, I am back on the pill short term. And my goal is next time I have an appointment, I am going to be doing all of the research for how to use essential oils to help alleviate the symptoms of PCOS and get my cycles going. I had some books that were specifically about menstrual cycles and essential oils, and none of the things were working because it's meant for the average woman. It's not meant for someone with PCOS, even though 1 in 10 women have PCOS. And probably if you ask around, someone, the majority of people that have ever taken any form of birth control aren't taking it for birth control. They're taking it because they have difficult periods, heavy bleeding, bad cramps, irregularities, missing periods, acne, headaches, all kinds of stuff. They're taking it for those reasons. Most of the time they're not taking it for birth control, in my experience. But, yeah, so that's the weird thing that's going on. If you have a PCOS story, I do want to hear it, and I will update you guys as things change. I don't want to take synthetic hormones, but this is something I'm doing right now to preserve my endometrium, because there is an increased risk when you leave PCOS untreated because your endometrial lining is building up and building up. There's an increased risk later in life for endometrial cancer. So this is something that I'm doing now to take care of myself until I can figure out what all I need to do as far as diet changes, exercise changes. Apparently high impact workouts are not good for PCOS. So every now and then is fine, but every day, high impact, not good. So diet changes, exercise changes, essential oil changes. It's not something I'm going to stop using, but it's more about figuring out what my body needs, listening to my body, and really digging into what the experts say, what doctors say, and just doing what I need to do. So if what I need to do right now is take the synthetic hormones short term to figure out everything else, like, that's what I'm gonna do, because I can't be a crazy person. But so far so good. We'll see if it continues that way. But if you have suggestions, I will accept them. If you have a question for me, message me on Instagram or post it here and I will address it later. Remember, if you're having an issue, always talk to your doctor about it. That first time that I went to tell my doctor I was having menstrual issues, like, I should have done that sooner. It was over a year that I was having problems and I just didn't want to say anything. And eventually, the only reason I said anything was it was getting so expensive. I was just like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I kept trying to figure out what was going on and what I could do differently. And it really was just, I needed to tell my doctor and talk to her about, what was going on so that she could help me. And even though the initial, let's just put you on the pill, was not really the best thing for me. I was in college and I didn't know any better. Even though that really wasn't the best thing for me, that was a stepping stone to where I am now. And, asking the questions and getting the answers and developing routines and habits that work for you and your body and your family, and just taking care of yourself. So, if that means I eliminate every single thing from my home with artificial fragrance, which I am trying to do, then I'll do that. If it means I can't eat soy, then that's not really fun, but I'll do it. And just some of those things that I need to eliminate from my life in order to be my best self. Losing weight probably is not going to do it because I don't need to lose any weight, but doing some of those things, if that's the worst thing I have to do, is do a different type of exercise or eat less soy and less processed food and buy things without fragrance and be more careful about the ingredients in my products, then that's what I'll do. I mean, it just is what it is. But remember, 1 in 10 women have PCOS. It's PCOS Awareness Month. And yeah, that's it. That's the lengthy story that happened over 6 years, but kind of in one little piece and another little piece, and then where we are now. But yeah, I can't wait to talk to you guys about it and update you on what's going on and all of that, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.